Hello, today I thought I would do a bit of a rambly, improvised kind of video, and I was going to do my makeup while I talked about Trichotillomania and how things have changed, how communications have changed, and how people's perceptions have changed, including my own. So I just thought I'd start out with my natural hair, but as I'm trying to be more proactive in reducing my hair pulling, I am going to put a bandana on, but I just wanted you to see that my natural hair look like you may have seen, and now I look like a pirate. Ta-da! So I'm looking down at my mirror here. It's actually quite a cool one from Amazon. It lights up. Oh, I only just got it. I actually got it because I'm going to say unless that's one of my goals, because in the mornings in the winter it's really dark when I get ready. So, and then I've come to work sometimes, gone into the toilets, looked at my mirror around 11 AM and thought, oh my god, that is a lot of blusher. So I'm not going to do loads of face makeup because I don't see much point, but I thought I would do the like Pride inspired makeup that I did yesterday just because it's a bit more fun than a normal look. I've got about 19 minutes worth of memory on my phone, so hopefully it'll take me less time than that. So when I first came to realise I had Trichotillomania, I was 14 and I think I was nearly 15, so 14 years ago, so a long time ago now. So that will have been roughly, it might not be the exact year because I can't remember exactly when in the year it was, but it would have been 2006. And as you'll know, a lot of things have changed since 2006, but when I actually didn't worry about it too much when I first got it. I was telling friends and my mum, and I went to the hairdressers openly, and then other people's perceptions of it has what's changed my perception. So I remember like telling two girls in my class, in my RE class in year 7 or 8, no sorry, in year 9, and one of them was really shocked, and she was called this other girl over, and I won't say her name, but she was like, come over here Rachel, tell them what you do, tell this person what you do, it's really weird. And that was the first time I thought, oh actually this might not be normal, or what's considered normal up until that point. And I wasn't even pulling it out by the root at that point. I was just snapping at the bottom of my hair. I was just snapping things in half, hairs in half. And then so it was like, that was my first sort of red flag that I thought things were a bit different. So I've got this from NYX. It's not like the highest quality eyeshadow in the world, but it's reasonably pigmented for what it is, so we'll give it a go. I'm not very good at makeup, so I'm going to try and talk and concentrate at the same time. And because there's loads of brushes, loads of colours, I'm just going to get loads of brushes and I'll wash them after this. And then I started pulling my hair out of the root, and that's when bald patches started appearing. And I was still at this point not thinking it was that big a deal, but it did get more and more where I thought that actually people are going to think I'm odd. And I don't remember the transition from it just being not a big deal to it being a huge deal where my hair looked different. And I just remember like the odd comment. I remember there was a guy in my year and he was like this with everyone. He wasn't a nice kid really. I mean, you got to forgive teenagers, especially in 2006. There was no education about how to talk to people and handle differences and diversity and things, but he used to say, oh, you look bald and you look like you've got a bald patch, like what's going on? Right in front of all my friends, and he would do it on purpose. I started getting called baldy by another group. I think I mentioned in a previous video, I actually finally opened up to someone, and then after a fallout about something unrelated, he used to ring me and ask me if I needed directions to the wig store and things. I mean, he said all the horrible things. He'd comment on my Facebook posts, where like I remember once I was wearing like long board shorts and like a bikini top, and I was in a paddling pool with my friends, and he was like, someone throw a shamu back in the ocean. So not a nice guy in the end. People just, I mean, I think there needs to be more education for teenagers on how to just communicate with people and things not to say, because bullying is so serious. And luckily for me, it ended pretty quickly, but for some people it affects you for the rest of your life, and I do still think about those things sometimes, which at 28 I know isn't great, but it's hard to let go. So I'm just moving into a bit of an orange colour at the sides. And then that was it then. I was like, well, obviously I can never tell anyone because everyone thinks I'm weird, even from adults and things. So, and this was the same with me, you'd sort of start blaming yourself and thinking, well, this is a thing, but like people would say to me, have you not stopped yet? I remember going to the hairdressers once and she just didn't get it, what I had, and she kept saying like, well, you're not just going to stop. Like, I had this power to stop, and that made me believe I was weak and other people who had it must be able to stop, and I was wrong, but I just couldn't do it, and I wasn't working hard enough. I went to like counselling and therapy, and they encouraged me to be open about it because apparently it really helps, and I was like, absolutely no way, I'll never be open about it. I've tried to be, and it's completely backfired in my face. So I internalised it. I don't think I told, I think after the confiding in my friend who ended up ringing me about the wig shop, I mean, now I'd be like, is it a decent wig shop? Because, yeah, send me the directions please, I'll have a go. I didn't tell anyone till about 2 weeks ago, so that's like 12 years. My partner, he's my fiance, but we'll call him my boyfriend because it's easier. I didn't actually tell him, he just figured it out. He didn't figure out I had trick because, you know, it's not something everyone's heard of, but he just asked me one day, oh, do you have alopecia, by the way, because I know you wear like extensions and stuff, and it's fine, like obviously it would be, and I was really upset, but he wasn't bothered. He was just, it's just the kind of thing you should be talking about if you're in a long-term relationship. And we'd only been together about 2 or 3 years at this point, but we've been together for 7 years now and we're engaged, so it was going to come up at some point. So I never actually told him, so that was that. Other people's perceptions, like adults, a lot of the kind of sort of judgmental comments that weren't as directly mean would come from adults. So I can't think specifically, sometimes counsellors would say completely the wrong thing if they'd never heard of it. And I remember more recently when I, like about 4 years ago, I was getting a bit desperate again, so I went to a doctor, and I'd gone to this guy at the same practice for a while, and he was great, but then he wasn't in one day, and I happened to get this other person, and this doctor laughed when I told them, and they said, well, my little sister does this thing where she puts her hair in her mouth, but she's allowed because she's like 12, can't you just stop doing it? And I was just sat there like, is this actually happening? Is a doctor laughing at me and comparing trichotillomania to a kid who just like occasionally bites her hair and puts her hair in her mouth? And I immediately changed doctors after that, but that was only 3 years ago, and I'd been to doctors that had heard of trichotillomania, and not only had she not heard of it, which is fine, but she actually made fun of me, and I couldn't believe it. I felt terrible, and she prescribed me an antidepressant that I've never heard of, so I didn't take it because I was thinking, I'm not taking a prescription from someone who isn't, you know, isn't taking me seriously and actually just thinks I'm a joke. So I never took that, I just left it. I think I just shredded it or something. Safely got rid of it, obviously. And it's like it's almost like that intrinsic kind of bias that these people had, that they think you can just stop. And I mean, you think if I could just stop, I would. And people with mental health problems like anxiety and depression, I mean, back in the day, people might have said to them, oh, no, just cheer up, or just don't worry. I used to get that all the time because I also have generalised anxiety disorder, just don't worry. If it was that simple, anxiety wouldn't exist, or to the extent that it does. We wouldn't have disorders and things like that. Depression wouldn't exist if you could just smack a smile on your face. So it's the same as that, really. But I understand, you know, education about these things wasn't high, and times have changed a lot, so I'll try not to get too wound up about it. And I didn't realise how much the world had come along. So I'd seen it be coming along in terms of, I guess, people accepting more, like when I was in school, you never came out as gay or any other kind of LGBTQ plus thing because you would get bullied for it. People would get bullied for it even for being camp and not coming out. There's quite a few people that I was in my friendship group at school who I had no idea were gay and then came out when they were older because they would never have done it in school for fear. So that's one example. And then obviously I was just a worrier growing up. There was no such thing as generalised anxiety disorder, at least I'd never heard of it. And things like that, like depression, that was only people who weren't even trying. And I mean, I never thought any of those things, but you know, that's the kind of the perception, the internalised perception. People who have schizophrenia are like insane, mental, it's just ridiculous. And I didn't realise how the world might have come along in terms of my trichotillomania, so I always suspected. I never for a minute was scared of telling my friends, I must admit, because I've got a really nice group of friends and we've talked about mental health problems before, like anxiety, because like these days, so many people have anxiety. I actually think more people have it than don't, in my opinion, or at least I know more people that have it in some form than don't. So I should have known, really, and I knew they would be accepting, but I didn't realise until I made this account and I told my friend a couple of weeks ago how supportive people can be. So I've had this account now for 15 days. I started it 2 weeks ago yesterday, and it's totally changed my life in 2 weeks. It's been absolutely amazing. And the amount of support I've had, and I knew that my friends would be nice, but I never knew they would be so, you just don't expect people to be so amazing and supportive, I guess, which again shows how internalised this stigma is. I mean, Hair Loss Boss shared a post recently that said that she sees a lot of people talking about how good support, it's how lucky people are to have supportive partners, but supportive partners are the bare minimum. It's like, it's the least that someone should do. It's looking a bit more like a sunset at the moment than a rainbow, but hopefully we'll fit some blue in. I haven't got very big eyelids, so I'm trying to, last time I did it so it was like the cool colours on this side and the warm colours on this side, but the warm side didn't look as good, so I wanted to try and fit everything in one eye. So we'll try blue now. Oh yeah, that looks good, you see. So I can't remember what I was saying. Oh, everyone's been so accepting, like I say, and of course, and like I say, Hairless Boss said, and it is like the bare minimum that your partner should be, and she's right. Like, no one should ever not be with you because of your hair. It's just ridiculous. It's like, I don't know, it's really shallow. Like, in terms of men, most of us, I hope, would not discriminate against a potential partner because they were losing their hair. I think at some point my boyfriend's going to have to shave his head on. I have to, but you know, he's losing his hair. He's not going to have hair for the rest of his life, and would I have not be with him, you know, if I didn't have freaking? No, of course not. So why should it be any different for women? It's ridiculous. And I didn't even think about it that way until recently. And my boyfriend's never made me feel like he's doing me a favour or anything, don't get me wrong, but you kind of, again, it's that internalised, that's what you think, oh, this person's doing me a favour. I'm so lucky to have found someone who's accepting. Because when I was a teenager, I had at least 2 guys I was like seeing. I mean, you can't, teenage boys, you can't blame them in a way. Well, blame's probably the wrong word. People, teenagers need to be more educated about accepting differences. But I know, you just know in my gut that when I was in year 11 to when I was 16, when I'd been seeing a guy for a while, and I think my hair had like slipped and it was obvious. Suddenly he wasn't interested in me anymore, and he was with someone else a few weeks later. And then another time I was with a guy and my hair slipped, and I like looked around and I was like thinking, oh god, and he was just looking at the wall away from me, and I was like, oh, what are you looking at the wall for? And he's like, oh, where else am I supposed to look? And it was a bit awkward. Within weeks we weren't together, so I highly suspect that's why we weren't. So I thought that was what was going to be like for the rest of my life, that I was never going to find a partner, because who would want to be with me? I've already been dumped by 2 people for that reason. And I just thought that's how it was going to be. But it's just not. Like, people grow up for a start. The world's changed, definitely. We're all more accepting of different things. But people were like showing interest in me. There was someone who showed interest in me in school. I like my first boyfriend in university I don't know if he knew I had trichotillomania, but he knew something. Like, I had a full fixed hair system, and he probably slipped and saw bald patches, and sometimes I know for a fact that he knew I wore hair extensions all the time, and he still wanted to be with me, and there was no issues with him, and he was a really nice guy. So not everyone's, you know, shallow and not bad. I shouldn't use that word, should I? But because they might be fine now. Maybe if I'd met those guys now, they'd be totally different. I shouldn't judge someone for what they were like at 15 or 16, of course. I would never want someone to judge me for what I was like at 15 or 16. So the world's just changed so much. And then when I started this, like, I've had so many nice messages from my friends, and there's not everyone I know has found out. Just try and neaten it up a bit. I'm not like a makeup artist by any means. That's why the light's changing a bit so it doesn't look amazing, but I think it's fun. So yeah, they've been so much like, they've been saying things like, oh, we've always thought you looked amazing, and this obviously doesn't change anything, and it's so good what you're doing. And I knew people would be positive, I just didn't realise how positive they were going to be, and I just wish I'd come out sooner with it, instead of just every time I get a new topper panicking and thinking, well, when such and such sees this, they're going to see it's different. How am I going to explain myself that it's longer or a different colour? And people in work haven't noticed that much. That's my biggest thing, even though we're all working from home at the moment, which I think has helped with my confidence to start this Instagram account, knowing that I don't have to go in the next thing and think, oh god, who's found it, straight away. But now I wouldn't be bothered. That was just the first couple of weeks I was bothered about that. And if anyone's watching this and you do know me, like, message me and, you know, any questions and stuff. I want to be open about it. And people have just, like, have been, like, so much, I don't want to say accepting, because of course they should be accepting, but, like, really kind of emotionally, like, I'm so sorry you felt that you've not been able to tell us this. And people just care. They care about you, and they care about the way you look and what you do with your hands so much less than you think they do. You will, if you're single at the moment and you're worried about finding a partner, decent people won't change their, like, they'll love you no matter what. As you'll have seen this all over Instagram, there's so many beautiful bald ladies out there with beautiful men, bald or not, so that's never an issue, so don't panic about that. And if you've surrounded yourself with a decent group of friends, you'll find that hopefully you'll find the same positive experiences as me in it. But if you want to practice, you know, you can message me and tell me, and we can practice how you would tell someone. I would love to do that. The first time I told someone, I took advice from Hattie, who's my trick journey, who I mention like every 5 minutes because she's my queen, basically. She's the reason I started this channel. She was well, it's a channel I'm putting on YouTube, but this Instagram account, because she's been so open about it. But she said, just tell them, like, you're not weird, and it's just something that you've got, and it's a pain, and it's hard for you, but it's the same as telling someone you bite your nails. It's not, no one will judge you for that. So don't be like, oh, I've got this really weird thing. Just say, I actually have this impulse control disorder called Trichotillomania, and it means that I had the urge, almost uncontrollable urge, or often uncontrollable urge, to pull hairs from my scalp or eyebrows, or wherever you pull your hairs from. I just pull mine from my scalp, and it's been really hard to live with, and I've been really ashamed. But recently I've realised it made me a lot happier if I just came out about it and told everyone, because I realised there's absolutely nothing wrong with me, and it doesn't change my personality. In fact, it's probably made me a better person and more empathic and understanding. Things like that, and make it so it's like such a positive thing not to have, but it's had such a positive, there are upsides to it, and you're looking to confide in this person. And the first few people I told were just like, oh, it's absolutely fine, you know, people shouldn't ever make you feel bad, and blah blah blah. And hopefully you'd have the same experience as me, but I understand that it's not always the case. Like, I don't know what your life's like and what people are like in your life, but let me just say I was surprised, and that's not a good thing. I shouldn't have been surprised, because I should have known that I've got good enough friends that wouldn't make me feel bad about anything or say anything weird. And like I say, they wouldn't act the same way as a 14-year-old in 2006. But you'll be surprised how amazing people are. And it's totally changed my life, and it's changed my perception of trichotillomania as well. And for the first time in my life, I don't see it as a complete burden, because I've got to meet so many lovely people, and there's like in a way there is upsides. I never thought I'd say that, because what it's made me a better person, a more empathic person. Nothing's about to run out. Sorry, I've only managed to do my eye makeup because I've been chatting away. It looks a lot better in real life. Trying to light it up. You see, I've got this mascara that I love, but I also get it everywhere when I'm doing it. So it's less like a rainbow and more tropical, I think, today, but I do love it. So yeah, so if you're looking to communicate, I'll just get my hair out for this bit. If you're looking to communicate your trichotillomania to anyone, or your hair loss, and you need some advice, then or to practice with someone, just let me know. This is sticking up. I'm happy to just like private message me. But basically how I did it is I just said I have this impulse control disorder, just like Hattie had said to do, and everyone was great about it. And you could say, you ask me questions and I'll let you know. So yeah, just message me if you've got any queries and want any support. Sorry this has been a bit rambly, because when I'm concentrating on one thing I can't do two things at once, so it's been a bit rambly, but I hope you've learned something from it, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.